Hey guys, so today I went to a strength seminar by two pretty renowned coaches right now in Korea. One is a strength coach who actually trains at a weightlifting gym, a professional weightlifting gym. Um, and one is actually a former member of the Korean national team who retired this year. So we went over the press, the squat, and the deadlift. It was just 9 hours of pressing, squatting, and deadlifting. Um, and he gave us some very good feedback. So I wanted to go over some feedback and cues that he gave us, which some of them are very obvious, but I think most people still get wrong. So yeah, let's start with the press. The number one mistake most people have is that people don't go vertically up and down. So at the start, the bar is too far away from the body, and at the end, the bar is too far back, like behind our head. So a cue he gave us was one, to pass the nose when we're pressing up. What this means is that you actually want to think about grazing the nose almost. So the bar is very close to you. And after you go up, just feel where that bar is. Just hold on to the bar and feel where it is to see if it's actually like above your midfoot. And then some other cues he gave was that the chest should always be very up, but don't think about shoulder retraction or depression. This is actually a lot more harmful than good. Your body will naturally do what it's supposed to when your chest is up. Think about pressing up. And the last thing he told us was instinctively you should know what your start position should feel and look like. So after you end that first rep, however you may push it, when you come down, your body will naturally make it so it's very advantageous for you to push that next rep. Basically an ideal optimal start position. So remember that end of the first rep, and that should be your start position. And this tip will actually continue in the squat and the deadlift. So yeah, the back squat, I think this is my strongest, but this is also like one of the things that I was most curious about. Stance wise, so a lot has changed today, but so stance wise, things should be natural and the imbalance is okay. So for me, let's say my right foot is a little bit more pointed out than my left. This is just natural. And if I start with them both pointing like what should I say? Like a mirror image, my left will always point more outwards after I squat. So just be in a position where, your body is natural in, but also don't make it so your body will keep going towards imbalance. What that means is stay in a natural stance, but also if you think your left was weak, work on your left. And if you are pushing with only your right when you're squatting, you need to think about pushing through your left as well and making some adjustments. So, this is where, the individual comes in rather than the coaching and, the internet and all that. You need to make adjustments by playing around with all this. Next is hip drive. I don't want to talk about this too much. Basically, your quads and your hips should be working together. For me, this has never really been an issue. I think some symptoms of not doing this is that your back collapses or you do the good morning squat, or basically either your butt or your knees are going to be very mistimed when you're coming up. So yeah, there's a lot of videos on this. So, the most important thing I want the viewers and myself to get out of this today is that we don't breathe hard enough. The former member of the national team, the coach told us that what we think, like amateurs, what we think of breathing and bracing our core 99% of the time is like just a mimic of what actual breathing should be. So today, as you see in the videos, before I unrack, I take a really big breath through my nose, like almost to the point where I actually almost blacked out today when I was deadlifting just by breathing. And it was just very, very hard to keep up with that abdominal pressure today because I haven't done this amount of pressure in my core. I breathe very deep through my nose, just very deep. And as you can see in my videos when I'm squatting, there is no butt wink today. None. Like the butt wink was not an issue about lower back or adductor or just anything. It was just the core not bracing and my hips uh, tilting. So I want to talk about this a little bit more. If your core is not braced, what happens is that your hamstrings or your legs are able to pull your upper body and your core downwards, or like your hips, let's say posteriorly hip tilting, which is what what butt wink is. If your core is braced, this doesn't happen. Like your upper body is just a wooden log. And when you go down, you're actually able to use the stretch reflex from your hamstrings and glutes and come back up. The stretch reflex is a little bit more advanced, so I don't want to go over this. But what this means is that after your hamstrings are stretched and your posterior and everything is stretched in the hole, when you're bouncing back up, think about rubber band. Your muscles are stretched, and then when you let go, it wants to come back to its original state, which is your start position. This is a little bit more advanced, so I don't want to go over this. And one more thing I want to talk about is think up when you're going down. So if you don't think about coming up when you're going down, it might be a little bit too late. So you do this little like pause squat or you lose tension in the bottom. You don't want that to happen. So think up when you're going down. And the double breath, he said this is a technique that, unless you're going over 200 kilos, you don't really need to work on. But basically, after you breathe through your nose and have that air tightness, you want to breathe in once more using your mouth to fill your upper torso. Yes, this is very advanced, so he actually told me not to worry about this. And I'm just gonna keep note of this and then maybe play around with this later on. Right now, I don't think I need to do any of this because, the weights are not that high. And next, the deadlift. The deadlift is probably what I was most shocked in because the core with the squat, I knew. The press, I was just very weak at, but, very glad I got some tips. But the deadlift was something that kind of came as a shock to me because the first thing he said was no arm or shoulder tension or upper body tension should be used. Just think about bracing your core and chest up. So he actually made us do like a lots of sets where we focus on the eccentric. And what happened is that we naturally, like our erector spinae and our posterior and our glutes and our quads were not accustomed to holding that deadlift position in the eccentric, which means that just, positional weakness, that our upper body became tense and we were trying to use the upper body tension. But he kept telling us after like a rep when we're going down, relax your upper body because it actually jerks the bar towards a suboptimal position. Let's say like when we're going up, if we're using upper body tension, this actually jerks the bar towards you and you're actually not balanced. What your arms are supposed to be doing is, just dangling. And this actually should be translated into the clean. I don't want to go over the clean and the upper body tension today, but I'm just gonna, just give this tip out there. No upper body tension, butt chest up. This needs some practice, but it came as a very big shock to me. But also, I was amazed by how well this worked. Anyways, the second thing he told us was that after the eccentric going down, right before you hit the floor, your legs and your glutes are very, very engaged. And you feel that posterior very stretched right before you hit the floor. And that should be like that amount of muscle tension should be engaged from your start position when you're starting every rep. So this was also a shock to me. I like the deadlift is always hardest from the bottom, at least this type of clean deadlift. And your legs and your glutes should be this much engaged. And I was just very shocked by how much tension you need to build up in your lower body when you're doing the deadlift. So I think it's not muscle weakness, but I think I'm just not used to this amount of force being generated for this movement yet. But I will definitely keep doing the deadlift because I think my deadlifts is very much weaker than my squat right now. Some other cues were back straight and equal feet pressure, but this was not hard for me. And I think maybe for beginner weightlifters, the back straight might be a very good cue because a lot of the powerlifters that came could not hold this position with a straight back. Like they were a lot stronger than me, but their back was kind of rounded. For me, it was the other way. Like my muscles are a lot weaker than them, but the coach told me that I was the only one that was keeping my back straight. Like basically the lower back strength that's needed for weightlifters versus powerlifters are different. But yeah, but anyways, but they were, so much stronger than me. So sad face. Haha. So yeah, there's just a video of me doing 110. I think, is it 110? Maybe there's a 50 there and it's 120. I forgot. Because I know I went up to 120. Oh, and by the way, I had so much air in my body and I was not used to this that I almost blacked out in this rep. That's why the coach is holding me. Anyways, I did the another set. Um, Yeah, he told us the best way to train the deadlift is eccentrics. This really builds up so much posterior strength. So eccentric training. Just everyone who wants to, pull more weight. Anyways, that was the seminar today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.